think you're doing? Get back! Back!
These brand new Bigfoot videos shatter reality, exposing something massive, intelligent, and terrifyingly close to us today, globally.
Forget everything you think you know about Bigfoot, because these brand new videos don't tease, suggest, or imply. They hit hard. Raw footage shows towering figures moving with purpose, eyes locking onto cameras like they understand exactly what's happening. This isn't panic. This isn't confusion. This is awareness. Captured on camera in places we swore were empty, these entities move through forests, across roads, and into human spaces with a confidence that feels earned. No blur excuses, no convenient cuts, just massive bodies, unnatural silence, and movements that shouldn't exist, yet do. Every frame feels like a warning we ignored for decades. Something has been here the entire time, watching us debate its existence while it mastered remaining unseen. These videos aren't shocking because they're scary. They're shocking because they feel intentional. Once you see them, the dark will never feel empty again.
Before we continue, like, comment, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered right now.
Shadow between redwoods. At 6:12 a.m. in Northern California, a stationary trail camera owned by a private forestry contractor scanned a fog-choked ravine while no one was present, and the footage was later pulled during routine data checks. A massive silhouette pauses between two trunks, caught on camera. Long arms swing below the knees, filmed as mist curls around dense fur. Eyes flash dull orange, scientists shocked by the height estimate. The figure appears between 2.4 and 2.8 meters tall, shoulders wider than a human by nearly half. Its wet, dark hair clinging like rain-soaked rope. And while it moves with the weight of a grazing bison, its steps land as softly as a stalking cat, suggesting a skeletal structure optimized for silent load-bearing. Possibly an ancient hominin offshoot that evolved forest camouflage and low-frequency movement to survive unseen. If it stopped exactly where the trees blocked the lens, was it hiding or measuring the camera first? The roadsider wave. Just before dusk in rural Appalachia, a dashboard camera from a family sedan recorded an unexpected figure on a gravel road, witnessed by 3 occupants who never stopped the car. A black mass steps from brush on camera. One arm lifts slowly, caught on as if signaling. No one believed the scale until frame-by-frame analysis. The being's height is estimated near 2.6 meters, with arms hanging well past the knees and shoulders stretched like a Texas cold storage wall. Its fur thick, dark, and matted, revealing glimpses of gray-brown skin beneath. And while skeptics argue misidentification, the gait, heavy as a bull yet fluid like an NFL linebacker changing direction, suggests a creature built for endurance, possibly retaining primitive muscle density lost in modern humans. Why would something that large reveal itself on open road unless it knew the vehicle couldn't stop? The dog would not run. In early spring, a handheld DSLR filmed deep in a managed forest in Eastern Europe by a wildlife hobbyist, moments before he abandoned the area. A towering figure kneels, filmed behind fallen logs. A small dog freezes beside it, on camera. The creature's breath rasps, half human, half animal, caught on audio. Standing an estimated 2.3, 2.9 meters tall when upright, the being's arms drape protectively around the animal. Its fur, long, dark, and damp, eyes reflecting red-orange through the canopy. And some researchers note parallels with historical Wendigo accounts from North America, specifically the recorded silence, emaciated facial structure, and proximity to domesticated animals, raising the possibility that folklore preserved behavioral clues of an ancient predator adapted to psychological dominance rather than overt aggression. If predators trigger panic, why did every instinct in that dog choose stillness instead of escape? The tree line watcher. At midday in a protected woodland, a long-lens camcorder operated by amateur hikers captured movement they initially dismissed until reviewing the footage weeks later. A tall form leans from behind a trunk, caught on camera. Broad shoulders slide back into shadow, filmed without sound. The forest falls unnaturally quiet. No birds, no wind. The subject appears over 2.7 meters tall, shoulders nearly 70% wider than an adult male, fur thick and dark like soaked moss, arms extending past the knees, and its motion, fast yet noiseless, implies joint flexibility and muscle control uncommon in known primates, suggesting either a divergent evolutionary path or a relict population adapted for ambush survival, carrying mass like a 90s refrigerator, yet moving with predatory efficiency. When the woods go silent around it, is that fear or a signal? The bicycle intercept. Late afternoon footage from a roadside security camera shows a lone cyclist overtaken by something no one reported at the time. A massive figure pedals smoothly on camera. Long fur ripples with each turn, filmed in daylight. The rider's posture defies human proportion. Scientists shocked. Measured against the bicycle, the being stands near 2.5 meters tall when dismounted. Arms disproportionately long, shoulders massively broad, with dark, wet-looking fur and hints of earthen skin beneath. And while the act appears almost playful, analysts suggest mimicry and intelligent survival behavior seen in higher mammals, comparable to orang pendek legends from Sumatra, where historical notes describe tall, hair-covered bipeds copying human tools to move unnoticed through shared environments. If it can learn our tools this easily, how long has it been watching us practice? The pen without screams. Captured at dawn on a farmer's handheld phone, this footage shows an intrusion into a livestock enclosure with no prior alarms or damage reported. A dark figure moves among animals, caught on camera. Pigs cluster silently, filmed without panic. The smell, wet fur and rot, was described later by witnesses. Standing roughly 2.4–3.1 meters tall, the being's bulk dwarfs the animals, its arms sweeping low, fur thick and rain-matted, eyes reflecting dull red, and the lack of chaos suggests an acoustic control, low-frequency vocalization mixing human, bear, and wind tones that may calm prey, hinting at a predator evolved not just for strength, but for psychological suppression, surviving by remaining unseen and unheard for centuries. If it can stand among livestock without fear, what else have we mistaken for nothing happened? The Greenfield Turn. At 4:47 p.m. in late summer, a handheld phone captured this footage on the edge of a rural pasture in the Midwest, filmed by a landowner checking fence lines alone. A tall black figure pivots mid-stride, on camera, arms swing wide, caught on with unnatural balance. Grass flattens under each step, filmed in full daylight. Estimated at roughly 2.4 to 2.7 meters tall, the subject's shoulders stretch far beyond human proportion, fur dense and dark with a damp sheen, revealing flashes of earth-toned skin beneath. And while skeptics note the open setting, analysts point to the fluid turn, heavy as a farm tractor yet smooth like a pro running back cutting lanes, suggesting a musculoskeletal system built to handle extreme mass without joint noise, possibly refined over generations to survive exposure without detection. If it knew it was visible in the open, why didn't it run? The mouth close-up. This footage surfaced from an unmarked memory card discovered in a second-hand camera purchased at a flea market in the Pacific Northwest, with no owner ever identified. A massive face fills the frame, caught on camera. Teeth close on fibrous matter, filmed inches away. Breathing rattles low, scientists shocked by vocal range. The creature's head alone suggests a body height exceeding 2.6 meters, with long black fur hanging wet and clumped around a broad gray-brown muzzle. Arms briefly visible beneath the jawline extending well past the knees, and while no aggression is shown, the jaw structure, thick, powerful, and human-adjacent, has led some to speculate a lineage capable of both omnivorous feeding and complex sound production, echoing theories of a relic hominin adapted to deep forest survival rather than tool dependence. Why would something so cautious allow the camera this close? Snowmobile silence. Recorded on a winter trail by an action camera mounted to a stalled snowmobile in eastern Canada, this footage was reviewed only after the operator failed to return that night. A dark mass kneels beside the machine, on camera. Long arms brace in snow, filmed without wind noise. The forest absorbs the sound. No one believed the stillness. Standing estimates place the figure between 2.5 and 3.0 meters tall, fur thick and frost-dusted, shoulders wider than a human by over half, and its movement, slow, deliberate, and nearly silent, mirrors historic skookum accounts from indigenous North American records, which describe massive forest beings approaching human tools without fear, possibly explaining why the subject appears to inspect rather than destroy the vehicle. If ancient stories warned of this behavior, why did we stop listening? The log crossing. At dawn in a dense evergreen forest, a static wildlife camera operated by amateur hikers recorded unexpected motion during a routine overnight sweep. Two tall forms move in sequence, caught on camera. One pauses, the other drops low, filmed behind fallen logs. No animal sounds remain, scanned silence. Each figure appears near 2.8 meters tall, arms long beyond the knees, fur dark and rain-matted, eyes briefly reflecting dull red. And while the presence of multiple subjects raises immediate doubts, some biologists note pack-like spacing and nonverbal coordination, hinting at a social structure evolved for collective survival, where silence and spacing replace vocal calls, much like apex predators adapting to environments shared with humans. If there were two, how many stayed out of frame? The Beach Walker. This footage was captured on a cloudy morning by a tourist's phone along a remote Pacific coastline, later uploaded anonymously and quickly removed. A massive figure strides near the surf, on camera. Footprints sink deep, filmed beside human tracks. The tide masks every sound, no one believed the scale. Measured against shoreline markers, the being stands approximately 2.6 meters tall, shoulders broad as a refrigerated shipping crate, fur dark and heavy with salt spray, arms swinging low and relaxed. And while coastal sightings are rare, some researchers suggest shoreline travel allows access to food sources with fewer observers, supporting theories of an adaptive migratory pattern tied to seasonal human absence rather than wilderness isolation. If it walks our beaches freely, what else shares our margins unseen? The ice exit. Captured by a shaky handheld camera during a late winter hike, this footage shows a sudden emergence near a frozen stream in a northern woodland. A huge form bursts forward, caught on camera. Water sprays as feet strike ice, filmed mid-motion. The sound, wind mixed with breath, cuts abruptly. Standing estimates reach up to 3.1 meters, with extremely wide shoulders, long dark fur clinging wet to a thick frame, arms swinging past the knees, and motion that is explosive yet controlled, like a charging bull stopping on a dime, leading some analysts to compare the behavior to Yeti accounts from Himalayan records, where sudden ice crossings and near-silent retreats were documented as survival traits in cold environments. If it can move through ice that fast, what chance do we have noticing it in the dark? Swamp water moved first. Just after sunset in a southern wetland, a handheld phone recorded this footage from a kayak-mounted angler drifting silently through cypress shadows. Ripples spread before anything appears, on camera. A tall shape rises from black water, caught on. Branches tremble, filmed without insects or frogs. The figure's height is estimated between 2.5 and 3.0 meters, shoulders massively wide, fur dark and soaked, clinging in ropes that reveal mud-brown skin beneath, arms hanging far past the knees, and witnesses later described a sharp, wet wood stench as the being moved with surprising ease through waist-deep water, suggesting a physiology adapted for swamp locomotion, dense muscle, buoyant fat layers, and a gait heavy like a bull yet silent like an ambush predator, possibly an ancient population that learned to survive where humans hesitate. If the water reacted before the camera did, how long had it been standing there, unseen? The window line. In broad daylight, a stationary phone recorded from inside a modern home when movement outside a floor-to-ceiling window drew sudden attention from the occupants. A tall silhouette crosses the glass, on camera. A massive hand presses lightly, caught on reflection. No sound, filmed inches from human space. The figure appears well over 2.4 meters tall, shoulders nearly twice the width of the window frame, fur thick and dark with a slight reddish sheen, skin beneath showing gray-brown tones, and the calm proximity has unsettled analysts more than aggression would, suggesting high situational awareness and confidence, like a large predator testing boundaries, built heavy as a 90s refrigerator, yet moving with controlled restraint, possibly understanding the barrier better than the people behind it. If it knows what glass is, how often has it watched us through it? The path that stays empty. At 2:43 a.m., a fixed trail camera recorded this footage along a managed pine corridor, timestamp intact, with no human activity logged nearby. A distant form emerges dead center, on camera. Long strides close the gap, caught on infrared. Then it stops, filmed perfectly aligned with the lens. Standing roughly 2.6 to 3.1 meters tall, arms swinging below the knees, fur thick and dark with faint frost highlights, eyes reflecting a muted red-orange glow. The subject's pause has drawn attention from researchers who note the exact stopping distance suggests spatial calculation, not chance, hinting at a cognitive awareness of surveillance zones, as if the creature understands when it is fully visible and when it is not. If it chose the one place to be seen clearly, was that an accident or a message? The river standoff, captured from a chest-mounted camera during a solo fishing trip in a mountainous river basin. This footage shows an encounter that lasted less than 12 seconds. A dark figure stands midstream, on camera. Water parts around massive legs, caught on. The current hisses, filmed as breathing overlaps. The being appears approximately 2.5 meters tall, shoulders broad like a cold storage wall, fur soaked and heavy, arms long and relaxed, and while the fisherman froze, analysts note the subject never advanced, instead holding position with the stillness of a dominant animal asserting territory, its weight pressing into river stones without slipping, suggesting immense balance and lower body strength evolved for unstable terrain. If it didn't need to chase or flee, what was the standoff actually for? The green night figure. On December 27, 2024, a handheld night vision device recorded this footage in a Washington forest during an unscheduled overnight hike. A tall form slips between trunks on camera. Leg muscles flex unnaturally, caught on green glow. The forest goes silent, scanned and empty. Estimated between 2.4 and 2.8 meters tall, the subject's shoulders are massively wide, fur thick and dark, skin beneath tinted earthy brown, eyes reflecting dull amber, and its movement, fast yet whisper quiet, has drawn comparison to predatory mammals that rely on silence as a weapon, suggesting an evolutionary pressure not just to hide visually, but to erase sound itself. If night vision exposes it this clearly, what does it see when it looks back at us? The heavy walker. This footage emerged from Oklahoma scrubland, filmed by a long-distance phone camera during an early morning property survey. A massive body advances steadily on camera. The ground compresses under each step, caught on. No haste, filmed with deliberate rhythm. Standing an estimated 2.7 meters tall, the figure's torso is unusually broad and heavy, shoulders extending far beyond human norms, arms hanging low, fur thick and dark with a dull matte finish. And while some dismiss the bulk, analysts suggest seasonal fat accumulation could indicate adaptive survival cycles, allowing long-distance travel and thermal regulation, making the creature not slow, but energy efficient, built like a moving bunker with the patience of something that has never needed to rush. If something this large walks without urgency, what does it know about the land that we don't? The backward walk. In late afternoon, a handheld phone filmed deep inside a mixed hardwood forest, recorded by a solo hiker who stopped walking when movement appeared uphill. A tall figure retreats without turning, on camera, feet placed carefully, caught on through branches. The body never exposes its back, filmed in silence. The subject appears roughly 2.5–2.9 meters tall, shoulders far wider than a human's, fur dark and dense with a damp sheen, arms hanging below the knees, and analysts note the unusual retreat pattern, moving backward smoothly over uneven ground, suggests advanced spatial memory and balance, like a heavyweight athlete walking blindfolded without misstep, hinting at a neurological adaptation favoring constant visual tracking of perceived threats rather than flight. If it never broke eye contact with the camera, who was being studied? 3 in the green. This night vision footage was recorded on private land shortly after midnight, using a stationary infrared unit installed for wildlife monitoring. One massive figure advances on camera. 2 smaller shapes trail behind, caught on infrared. All 3 move in silence, filmed as a unit. The tallest subject stands near 2.8 meters, with the others proportionally smaller, suggesting juveniles, all displaying broad shoulders, long arms, and thick fur glowing pale green under night optics. And while skeptics argue scale illusion, biologists quietly note coordinated pacing and spacing, consistent with family group movement seen in higher mammals, raising the unsettling possibility of a breeding population rather than isolated anomalies. If this was a family crossing open ground, how many generations came before them unseen? The Rock Edge Watcher. Captured in early autumn by a long zoom camcorder, This footage shows a figure observing from a rocky rise above a leaf-covered slope. A dark shape crouches high, on camera. Long fingers curl over stone, caught on zoom. Eyes reflect faint orange, filmed through brush. Standing when fully upright at an estimated 2.7 meters, the being's shoulders are massive, fur thick and rain-matted, skin beneath appearing gray-brown, and its elevated position has drawn comparisons to skookum descriptions in indigenous accounts, specifically the tendency to watch from ridgelines and rock outcrops, suggesting an inherited strategy of terrain dominance rather than concealment. If high ground is chosen deliberately, was the trail below ever truly empty? The path away. This footage surfaced from an old DSLR memory card labeled only with a date, showing a figure filmed from behind on a narrow dirt road at dusk. A massive back fills the frame, on camera. Broad shoulders sway, caught on as dust lifts. Footfalls land heavy yet muted, filmed fading out. The figure stands near 2.7 meters tall, arms swinging low, fur dark and layered like wet bark. And while the camera never captures its face, analysts emphasize the relaxed departure, no urgency, no glance back, suggesting confidence rather than fear, like a dominant animal leaving territory it knows will remain undisturbed. If it didn't care to see who followed, did it already know no one would? The headlight pause. Recorded just after midnight from inside a stopped vehicle, this footage shows an unexpected obstruction on a Forest Service road. A tall figure steps into headlights, on camera. Dust floats around its legs, caught on beam. It stops completely, filmed facing the engine. Estimated at 2.6 to 3.0 meters tall, the being's chest is broad, arms long past the knees, fur thick and dark with a damp shine, eyes reflecting red-orange, and its stillness under direct light has unsettled researchers, suggesting a predator response opposite to prey instinct, as if assessing distance, threat, and machine in real time. When something blocks the road and refuses to move, what is it waiting for you to do? The forest wall. This footage was captured during a daylight hike when a stationary camera was briefly set down and left recording unattended. A towering figure stands motionless, on camera. Tree trunks frame its width, caught on scale. Wind moves leaves, but not the subject, filmed raw. Standing between 2.8 and 3.1 meters tall, shoulders spanning nearly the width of two adjacent trees, fur dark and heavy, skin beneath earthen-toned, the being's total lack of motion has fueled theories of energy conservation and camouflage, like a living wall embedded in the forest, capable of waiting without sound or shift for extended periods. If the forest can hide something this large in plain sight, what else have we walked past without ever knowing? The cliffline grin. Late morning in a high alpine valley, a stabilized drone camera operated by a solo climber captured this footage while hovering near a granite ledge, with no one else present for miles. A massive figure pulls itself up on camera, hands clamped stone like steel, caught on. The face lifts, teeth visible, filmed against open air. The subject appears roughly 2.6 to 3.0 meters tall, shoulders spanning nearly 70% wider than a human's, fur long and dark with wind-tossed strands, skin beneath a muted brown-gray, arms thick and extending past the knees. And while skeptics cite costume theory, analysts note the climbing mechanics, weight distributed smoothly, fingers flexing independently, suggest a skeletal and tendon structure optimized for vertical terrain, like a refrigerator-sized body moving with the control of a seasoned free climber. If it can smile on a cliff edge, was fear ever part of this encounter, or just ours? The track crosser. Recorded at dawn from the front cabin of a slow-moving freight train, this footage shows an unexpected obstruction emerging through heavy fog on a rural rail line. A dark shape steps onto steel, on camera. One long stride clears the rail, caught on. Fog swallows the body again, filmed without reaction. Estimated at 2.5 to 2.9 meters tall, the figure's shoulders are massive, fur thick and dark, clinging damp in the mist, arms hanging low and loose. And while the moment lasts seconds, researchers point to the confident timing, crossing precisely ahead of the train, as evidence of spatial awareness and sound prediction, suggesting auditory sensitivity far beyond human range, allowing it to judge speed and distance without ever looking hurried. If it knew exactly when to cross, how long had it been listening before we ever saw it? The fence standoff. This infrared trail camera footage was captured overnight on private farmland, triggered by motion near a wooden livestock enclosure. A huge shape looms over the fence on camera. Hands grip the top rail, caught on infrared. A dog freezes below, filmed without barking. The being stands an estimated 2.7 to 3.1 meters tall, shoulders impossibly wide, fur dense and dark, eyes reflecting dull orange-red, arms thick and long, and what unsettles researchers most is the absence of aggression. The animal simply holds position, suggesting dominance through presence alone, like a large predator asserting control without expending energy, possibly relying on scent, sound, and posture rather than violence. If even the dog understood not to challenge it, what instinct did we lose that night? The doorway step. Captured by a porch-mounted security camera in early evening, this footage shows an intrusion that lasted less than 5 seconds before cutting out. A massive foot lands on the mat, on camera. Wood creaks under weight, caught on audio. The figure leans in, filmed inches from the door. Standing roughly 2.6 meters tall, the subject's lower body alone suggests extreme mass, fur hanging thick and dark around muscular calves, toes wide and splayed. And while skeptics dismiss the clip as staged, analysts note the careful placement of the foot, testing surface stability, mirroring behavior seen in large mammals approaching unknown structures, as if evaluating whether entry is worth the risk. If it chose not to come inside, was that restraint or a warning? The kitchen shadow. This footage surfaced online briefly before removal, filmed at night inside a rural cabin by a motion-activated interior camera. A tall silhouette moves past the counter, on camera. Large hands lift fruit, caught on. Chewing echoes softly, filmed under warm light. The figure appears around 2.8 meters tall, shoulders broad enough to block the doorway, fur thick and dark with a copper sheen, arms long and deliberate. And while the act seems almost mundane, researchers point to the behavior, selective feeding, no destruction, as evidence of intelligence and familiarity with human spaces, suggesting long-term observation rather than impulsive intrusion. If it knows what food to take and what to leave, how often has it been inside before? The road claim. Filmed from a stopped vehicle on a dirt road just after noon, this footage shows an encounter that forced the driver to cut the engine. A massive figure walks straight ahead, on camera, arms swing low, caught on in daylight. It never changes pace, filmed blocking the road. Standing near 2.7 meters tall, chest broad and heavy, shoulders spanning far beyond human proportion, fur dark and dense, eyes fixed forward, the subject's posture reads as territorial rather than reactive, like an apex animal occupying space deliberately, moving with the confidence of something that has never been challenged here before. When something walks down the middle of the road like it owns it, are you trespassing or already too late? Conclusion. What you've just witnessed are not just strange clips pulled from the internet. They are fragments of a much larger question humanity has avoided for generations. Are we truly alone in these forests? Whether you believe or remain skeptical, one fact is undeniable. These recordings exist, captured by real people in moments that feel too raw, too imperfect, to be easily staged. The unnatural silence, the reflective eyes in the dark, the way these figures move as if they are aware of being watched, all of it blurs the line between folklore and reality in a deeply unsettling way. Maybe Bigfoot doesn't want to be found, or maybe it never left at all. If this footage made you uneasy, curious, or sparked questions you can't shake, like this video, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to Mystery Footage Uncovered. Stay with us as we continue exploring the evidence others would rather ignore.